Thank you for joining us on the program from the National Assembly. I'm Ignatius Nkwo. Well, the Senate has already reconvened for Wednesday's plenary, and at the moment, some motions have been taken and some bills have been passed for first reading. And then I will take you straight to the red chamber so as to follow with the proceedings. But it's very significant to know that today, Senate is expected to confirm the nomination of chairman and members of the Board of Federal Road Maintenance Agency. Now, let me take you straight to the red chamber so as to follow with the proceedings.
So we had more people standing than the ones sitting on that train that day. We all know what's going on our road from Kaduna from Abuja to Kaduna, vice versa. And therefore, Mr. President, this motion is simply to urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to increase the number of coaches so that they will be able to take more passengers and therefore have ordinary passengers sit down. Having said that, Mr. President, as I said, let me go ahead to read the motion or the prayer. No, the motion first. The motion is on the urgent need to increase the number of coaches to the Abuja-Kaduna rail line. The Senate notes with concern the undue pressure on existing facilities at the Abuja-Kaduna railway line, notes that most passengers en route Abuja-Kaduna have to turn to the railway as a safer means of transportation. Aware that the surge in the patronage of rail services may have been attributed to its safety, comfort, convenience, and perhaps affordability, which have drawn many commuters following the high risk on Abuja-Kaduna Expressway that is threatened by kidnappers, armed robbers, and other kinds of criminals. Aware also that this has led to rowdiness during ticket purchase and survival of the fittest for passengers willing to buy tickets across the counter as officials deliberately hoard and sold tickets to the highest bidders. Observes that the daily schedule of Abuja-Kaduna from Monday to Saturday are 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. except for Wednesdays with only 2 trips at 7 and 6 p.m. Aware that the huge number of travelers jostled for tickets sold at 1,500 after queuing for about 2 or more hours to enable them stand for 2 hours on the trip, like my experience. Notes that every good thing usually faces its share of challenges. What the rail transit, that is Abuja-Kaduna, is faced with is shortage in the number of available coaches, which explains the long queues recorded at the station. Worried that Nigerians willing to use these services are now meant to queue for hours before boarding due to increase in demand. And also, Mr. President, shows the concern that worldwide railway transportation is meant for the poor. But unfortunately in this case, and that's why I have the second prayer, the cost of railway, as I said, from Abuja to Kaduna is 1,500. That is double the price of road transport fare from Abuja to Kaduna, because if you are going by road, it costs 700 to maximum of 1,000 from Abuja to Kaduna. And this railway is supposed to supposed to serve more of the poor than the elite. And that's why if you go to this railway station, you don't see the poor there because they cannot afford it. It is therefore important to look at the price so that the poor can afford to use the rails. Accordingly, resolves to urge the federal government or the Nigerian Railway Corporation to deploy more coaches to Abuja-Kaduna rail line to ameliorate the plight of the passengers. And secondly, urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to reduce the fare from the 1,500 to 600 to make it available for the poor, and general public. I so move. My distinguished colleagues, as I said, this is a very straightforward and important motion, and I hope that it will unanimously receive the required support from my colleagues. Thank you.
Senator Gobri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. I rise to support my good friend, Senator Ndumi, for this motion, because actually train services are supposed to be cheaper. So it should be cheaper than road services. But when you come to the question of buying more, let's say, coaches, I hereby suppose that we try to encourage PPP, that is public-private partnership, so that government should actually face itself on other things. In this case, we have very good interested people who are transporters who would like to actually invest in transportation services. And I therefore support this motion wholeheartedly. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Senator Shehu Sani.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the people of Kaduna State, we will thank the distinguished Senator Ndume for this motion that touches on the life and survival of the people in Kaduna State and people who are also plying that very route. Mr. President, the Kaduna-Abuja train route has become the oxygen and the lifeline of people who are moving along that route. To the knowledge of everyone, Kaduna-Abuja road is now one of the most dangerous roads in Africa. And it has become so as a result of the killings and kidnappings that we have repeatedly discussed here. Until and unless the federal government finds a solution to the kidnappings and killings along Kaduna-Abuja road, that train services will continue to be the only means by which both poor and the rich can access. Mr. President, somewhere I read that the president or the federal government has ordered for some coaches to be deployed along that route to assist in alleviating the suffering and the hardship faced by people who are applying that route. But I must say that inasmuch as it is said that necessity is the mother of invention, I think it is time that we patronize our local manufacturers and see the possibility of how they can produce coaches to serve our need. And like I've said repeatedly to the police, except if the police will run a transport services from Abuja to Kaduna, nobody is going to believe that that road is safe for anybody to pass. So this motion is a saving grace for the rich and the poor. That train services has become the only means by which senators, members of House of Reps, doctors, engineers, lawyers, the high and the mighty, as well as the poor, patronize for their own lives and for their own interests. Mr. President, this motion should be one that will send a message to the federal government, the executive side, that we need these coaches to stop the practice of ticket racketeering, to stop the practice of people standing with two legs on one leg from Kaduna to Abuja, and to also alleviate the problems that are being faced by the common people. Whoever conceived the idea of building a train from Kaduna to Abuja I think he has done a service, a great service to the people of this country at this material time when we have become one of the most dangerous spots as far as security is concerned in Africa. I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Senator Nada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I am inclined to support this motion, except that I might end up disagreeing with the prayer in view of the fact that increasing coaches at this stage may not necessarily be a feasible thing based on technical reasons, sir. In fact, even the idea of taking passengers and then asking them to stand in addition to the capacity of the train, I'm not so sure is correct. What I think the prayer should be is to increase the frequency so that many people can be transported safely, because safety is of the essence, sir. The ability of the engine to pull these coaches will greatly degrade the performance and may end up even collapsing the entire system itself. So I was thinking that while the motion is apt and very considerate, the prayer should have been to increase the frequency so that more people can be transported safely and people do not have to stand for 2 hours to be able to be transported to Kaduna from Abuja or Abuja from Kaduna. Again, sir, the motion has a very silent implication if being taken as it is by the Senate, because is the Senate now saying that after having taken steps yesterday, which it intends to continue to take to ensure the safety of life and property in Nigeria, more especially along Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, are we saying that by acceding to the prayers of this motion as it is, we are indirectly saying that the road from Kaduna to Abuja should be abandoned? I don't think that is a correct approach and posture by the Senate. I would have thought that while conceding to the prayers of this Senate, of this motion, we vary it to be that it should be to increase the frequency of Kaduna, Abuja, Abuja, Kaduna rail. It will equally be that additional prayer to ensure that the safety of Kaduna, Abuja, Abuja, Kaduna, and all other roads in Nigeria is guaranteed by our security agents so that movement of goods and services can be encouraged in a manner that it will stimulate the economy of the country in our march to stabilization. Once again, I thank distinguished Senator Ali Ndume for a thoughtful approach to the motion, but that I intend at the consideration of the prayer to ask for amendment to the prayer. Thank you very much, sir.
Senator James Manja.
Thank you, Mr. President. My highly respected James A.P.O. War Manager, CON Delta South. Mr. President, if you look at all those who have contributed, they are almost all of them from the north. But Kaduna is a very strategic community. And it is the gateway to so many other states. And it's also the home of so many Nigerians, including my humble self. So irrespective of where you come from, this Abuja-Kaduna road is very important to all of us. I schooled there, I schooled in the Abuja area, and I know at the time I was there as a student, Kaduna was like an unofficial capital of Nigeria. So, Mr. President, I want to correct one impression. It's not one of the most dangerous roads. Senator Sani, I know you are from there. It's not one of the most dangerous roads. It's the most dangerous road in the country today. From the reports that we have received, and from all that everybody is talking about, that road Only somebody who is ready to commit suicide want to take that route. And Ali Ndume has come up with this motion. And in its, the body of the motion, he said, or before he read the prepared one, he said almost all the people that he saw in and around the railway station, they are all powerful Nigerians. And the railway, according to him, and is correct, all over the world, is meant for some other persons. So we are oppressing the poor. We are oppressing the poor. We are oppressing the poor, and which is not good enough. We are oppressing the poor because the railway.
Prime Minister travels by rail.
Well, sometimes it's not always. Sometimes you want to travel by rail, just for the pleasure of it. But the railway in Nigeria today, that is being dominated by people like Ali Ndume and others,
Who are afraid of the
who are afraid of traveling by road from Abuja to Kaduna. I think something has to be done. Something has to be done. And of course, Senator Nahala, it will take a while, whether you like it or not, because of the impression that has been created about the safety of commuters between Abuja and Kaduna. It will take a while. Yes, solutions are being proffered. But believe you me, that rail station, that the the transport system is very important to all of us. And therefore, increasing the number, according to Nahala, may not be the solution. And standing while you are traveling on a train may also not be the solution, because safety of commuters is very important. So, Mr. President, take all these things together and let the chairman of the Committee on Land Transport do something, because these are things that can be discussed one-on-one and certain actions can be taken. So, Mr. President, I support this motion in totality, and let the right thing be done at the right time.
Okay, let me just allow the chairman of the Railway Land Transport to make a comment. Then we'll go to prayers, please. Into Ashafa.
Because each senatorial district, Your Excellency, the Senate President, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My distinguished colleagues, this is a very, very important issue has been raised. We could all see that everybody here is affected. Senator Ali Ndume, thank you for bringing this up. I just came back from China, and our trip was, initiated as a result of this pressure on the rail system, the rail transportation model. We went there to look at what was delaying the number of coaches that we had already paid for. Already, we had paid for 64 coaches, and during our visits to all these factories, we discovered that only 12 will be ready, to be brought back to Nigeria. Now, there is additional pressure on those that are our contractors, CRCC in China. They are the best as far as building these coaches are concerned now. All other countries all over the world are patronizing them, and we saw evidences. Our main problem is funding. If we are able to fund, we'll be able to have enough locomotives and coaches. Now, the immediate intervention that the minister has put in place is to look at Warri Itakpe, which does not command too much of patronage, and bring about 2 or 3 coaches, add to that of Kaduna, Abuja. About reducing the fare for now, I will say what we should be concerned about is getting more coaches coming in and ensuring that the construction of Lagos, Kano,
is fast-tracked by giving them enough funds. Luckily, the National Assembly has played its own part in this. We will still be paying more if they come in to ask for more money, but there has never been any request made by the executive concerning rail that we have not been able to meet up to. So as far as that is concerned, I think we are good. We are expecting additional 12 coaches, passenger coaches, to arrive in the next 8 weeks. I can't promise you anything less than that, but in the next 8 weeks, additional 12 coaches will arrive, and that will ameliorate the problems of Lagos, Kaduna. But in the meantime, I think we have to make do with intervention coming from Itakwe. That is only 2 coaches coming in to carry passengers. For now, I think we should...
Thank you. Let's go to prayer then. Prayer 1. Urge the federal government to deploy more coaches to the Abuja-Kaduna rail line to raise the flight of the passengers. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. Yeah, is have it. Prayer 2. Urge the Nigerian Rail Corporation to reduce the fare from 1,500 to 600 to make it affordable to the general public. Amendment, yes, Senator Magnus.
Mr. President, I believe that given that this railway system is being built by loans, it will not be right for us to unilaterally reduce or increase fares without studying what impact that will have on the existing agreements. So let me amend this prayer to read that we urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to study the fare structure relative to the cost to see the possibility of reducing fares to make it more affordable for Nigerians. Because the information to make that decision is not available to us here. Thank you, sir.
Any seconder to this? Yes, Senator Yaya Abdullah.
Yes, sir. I write to second the amendment raised by Senator Abe on the ground that actually, in our own conversations with the leadership of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, they are not even recovering 1/3 of the cost that they entail, even the payment of diesel costs. They are not even recovering 1/3 of the cost of the operations by the current fares that they charge. So if we are not going to increase the fares, I think it will be total coaching for disaster, for us to ask them to go back to 600. On this ground, sir, I would like to endorse the amendment that has been suggested by Senator Abe.
What is the amendment?
More than 500 naira.
I'm saying, what is the amendment? Urge the
prayer should be rescinded.
Okay. The amendment, it does, I think, just before information, the amendment by Senator Magnus is that we should urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to carry out a study to review the fare structure in relation to cost. Yes? That's your amendment. All right, information sent on to me.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, just a kind of reminder that the railway service or the transportation system in this country is not purely profit-making venture, especially from the government side. It is to enumerate the suffering of the poor. So if railway is there and the ordinary man of Nigeria cannot use it on the basis that they are not recovering profit, I think this should be considered as part of social service. So let them look at the transportation. If somebody is paying 700 naira to travel by road, and the railway is meant there for the poor, and he cannot afford it, then the whole purpose of having the railway from one end of the country to the other is defeated.
But I think that's why we're not rescinding. We're asking them to carry out a study. So I think that's why the motion is fine. So I'll put the question there. Those in favor of the amendment urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to carry out a study to review the fare structure in relation to cost. Those in favor say aye. Those against nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer? No. Thank you very much, Senator Ali Ndume. additional prayer? Okay, Senator Lidani.
My name is Joshua Lidani, representing Gombe South. The additional prayer is to increase the frequency of in addition to the number of coaches, to increase the frequency of the train movement on the Gombe, Abuja, Kaduna line.
Any seconder to that? Yes, Senator Nala.
I second the amendment as moved by Senator Lidani.
Okay, additional prayer. Urge the Nigerian Railway Corporation to increase the number of frequency on the Abuja-Kaduna route. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer? Otherwise, thank you, Senator Ali Ndume. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, relying on Order 53.6, I move that we rescind our earlier decision of standing down orders, the second and third orders. Senators Mutazi and Sabi Aliu are ready, and therefore I move that we take those orders now. So the second order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the withhold. Huh? Yeah, that's 53.6.
Order, please.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
The second order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the withholding of assent on the Process of Crimes Bill 2019. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion. The Senate recalls that the bill was passed by the Senate awaiting harmonization by the conference committee. The Senate observes that after critical examination of the bill, some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative actions on clauses 5 subsection 2 and 6 subsection 1 and 3 subsection A and B, occasioned by the establishment of Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, which was not contemplated in the Process of Crimes Bill, was noticed. The Senate is aware that the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, as an anti-corruption entity, will play a fundamental role in the operation of the Process of Crimes Recovery and Management Agency established by the Process of Crimes Bill. The Senate notes that the inclusion of the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit in the governing board of the agency is critical and in accordance with the global best practices. The Senate accordingly resolves to rescind its decision on clauses 5.2 and 6.1 and 3A and B of the bill as passed and recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for consideration and passage. I so move.
Mr. President, I second the motion that this bill be committed to the appropriate committee as subsequent.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate resolve into a committee of whole for the consideration of this bill as subsequent.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.